Good afternoon. Just wanted to say I probably won't see y'all. I'll see you around practice, but happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Looking forward to that. Got some family in town. Got mom and dad in town, so it should be get a little bit of time to grab a nice meal. So, any questions?
Get some Thanksgiving feedback from your dad about the offense, or does he stick to defense?
He gives me all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It usually starts off with the questions. Why did you do that? Why did you guys do that? What were you thinking there? And then, for offense and defense, and the defensive question, I say, I got plenty to worry about over here. So, and then he always brings it back something positive. He was the one who texted me yesterday morning about, first Vikings team since 2000 to have a 300-yard passer, a 100-yard rusher, and two 100-yard receivers in a game. So thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, he is positive, but he's also a coach and wants to know, what the thought process was on a lot of stuff. So.
Did you go offense so that you wouldn't have to talk to him as much about football?
Yeah, I just played quarterback, so defensive guys. If I didn't love him, I'd hate him. So, especially watch like all the stuff that these guys do. Flo just he was just in here. The rules. We should be able to move everybody around before the snap and just see how they react.
Just in terms of the overtime from Sam, what did you see from your perspective, and what worked for him to drive the team down the field like he did?
Well, I think you saw kind of what you saw throughout the game from Sam. I thought he played a great game. Really made some high level throws, some throws that not a lot of guys in this league are making. You look at the Addison throw coming out of the half, just a phenomenal throw, in stride and in a tight window, closing in on the sideline. Great finish by Jordan, but to be able to overcome a couple penalties there, we were fairly clean really until the overtime drive. We have a false start and we have a holding penalty, but to be able to overcome some of that. And drive the football, down the field to get the winning field goal was something. But really the final drive of the game, in regulation as well, I thought, our guys really stepped up there to have an 11-play drive to take off over 5 minutes off the clock and inevitably get the field goal there to go up 11 with under 2 minutes and no timeouts for them. I thought was a really big drive of the game.
Does anything about a Jordan performance like that surprise you? Just that level of production, yards after catch, everything that he showed?
No, it doesn't surprise me. Jordan, I think you've seen every game, the last few games, he makes a phenomenal catch. I certainly thought that it was pass interference if we didn't catch the deep ball down near the goal line, but to still make that catch and end up not getting the call, was impressive. But he's kind of had at least one of those catches the last several weeks where everyone says, "Wow, what a great catch!" So for him, it's the ops. The more ops a guy gets of his caliber, you're going to see that kind of production. And it's been talked about, all the coverage structures and the attention to JJ, all those things. But you see him and TJ, come out with big games, and it just gives the defenses that much more to worry about as we go into each week.
Plus, it seems like he really holds his ground for a guy that size. That was pass interference, but he didn't get knocked off his spot. And then the one where he's going to the sideline, the safety tries to just, not wrap him up, just knock him off but he didn't. He just bounced off of him. Where does that come from, do you think?
Yeah, he's not a big guy in stature, but he is strong and he is a great athlete, has great feet. The contact balance there on that play you're talking about by the sideline to kind of not only he catches it and has great forward lean, sheds that tackle, and then able to keep his feet on the sideline there. Whether they did have sideline cameras or not, I know that's been a thing. But to be able to stay in that moment on that kind of play, it just speaks to what kind of athlete he does. He is a strong player. He's always going to be his size, but he plays bigger than that.
Do you think if Jordan and TJ keep performing like this, teams will reconsider how they cover Justin?
I think they're. I don't know what their thought process will be. I do know that I would think every week they're still going to go into games saying we can't let, Justin Jefferson have 150-yard, 160-yard receiving game and be the guy to beat us. They're still going to give attention to him, but there's more guys on the field that can make plays, and the more you have, the harder it is to defend. So Sam's just got to keep putting the ball in play to the guys that are open, and however the coverage dictates.
Why was the O-line able to find a little bit more success or get a bit more success with the Bears moving front this time around?
Well, I think. I think they committed to play style, number one, and really coming off the rock. We've run the ball fairly well throughout the year. We're always trying to find ways to improve, but it kind of gets compared to 2 weeks ago, and I think that was a little more of a factor of Simmons and Sweat and some of the guys that they had. Particularly on the interior there, was a good front. Not to say that this was not, but you're talking about a guy who's maybe an all-pro guy and a first-round rookie who are really good players and really stout on the inside there. But I think they took that personally, that we want to be able to move the football regardless of whatever front we play. And I felt that throughout the week. I felt like those guys were kind of on a mission to prove that we can get movement, we can move the line of scrimmage, we can get holes for those guys. And then I will say Johnny Munt with Josh Oliver being out did a heck of a job in the run game. Where it doesn't get highlighted a whole lot. And then the receivers on the perimeter were really physical. Jordan being one of those guys who was doing everything he could, and Justin getting in there on a couple of inside runs where he goes and digs out the safety in a game where he wasn't getting a whole lot of touches, a whole lot of ops. Even though I will say it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but the defensive PI on the third down to get us going, the defensive PI down the field that gets us first and goal inside the 5 there. I mean, those are huge plays in the game. I wish we could give the guy yards for that, but unfortunately they don't do that.
Wes, it seemed like you guys really leaned into CJ being on the field with some of those runs late in the game in the second half. Just what did you see from that 21 grouping? And do you feel like you guys could lean into that a little more as down the stretch, maybe?
I think it's game to game, but I do think CJ played a really, really good football game, really physical. We had some success with some power plays, some gap pull stuff that maybe hadn't been going quite as good throughout the year, but we felt like we could get some of those off this game, but that CJ on a defensive end, with a 9 technique and going in there and digging guys out. We had an open side run where him and 52, had a heck of a collision, and Aaron ends up getting a nice run on that particular play. But CJ's he's always been consistent He's one of the smarter players I've ever been around, and can kind of be that guy that not only is finding his guy, but if someone else shows up in the path, he's smart enough to understand, hey, I need to clean this up. And you see that in the protections as well. He's been a big factor for us all year on some of those third down protections, stepping up and not only blocking his guy, but sometimes helping our line out.
You've been around a lot of wide receivers who factor into the run blocking scheme over the years. How does Trent Sherfield kind of factor into that, and what kind of a difference does he make in a game where you don't have Josh Oliver?
Yeah, Trent is just so big and strong. I mean, you see him just kind of jogging down, and it's just he's just a big physical guy, and he embraces the role, and he's been able to actually, he catches that touchdown against the Rams where he's showing that he's blocking, and he ends up just scot-free out the backside. So he's had some opportunities in the pass game because of what he's done in the run game, but he's the type of guy on Aaron's 41-yard run early in the game, he goes down to crack the safety, and usually you kind of see them kind of hit the guy, and they both kind of bounce off, and he just grabbed him, and the guy stopped right in front of him. Just a physical guy who embraces the role, and because of that, that role that he's been able to carve out, he's been able to get some things in the pass game as well, and we trust him. Third down, he gets a conversion. I mean, we trust him in the game. He's done a great job coming in and just fitting in with that group and carving out a little niche there.
You guys had him block Montez Sweat on the opening run too. I mean, you don't see that very often.
No, you don't. We couldn't get him the second time. Probably went back to the well one too many times there. That second time, he's a smart player. He's a good football player. But yeah, that first run to down block him and be able to get around the edge and kind of start off the game that way was pretty cool.
How do you think David Quisenberry did when he got in, and what's your comfort level with DSL?
Yeah, Quest is that. I mean, that's why he's here, to be able to go in a moment like that. Cam goes down, and I thought he came in and played really well. I think just both times he's gotten in, I think there's a snap or two that he would like to have back where, hey, he's such a big man, and if he uses his hands and punches, he's just hard to move. He's hard to move. So, I think there's one here or there. But you talk about knowing the plan, being consistent. The left side really wasn't an issue with him in there. We weren't thinking like, oh God, we gotta get chips over there. We gotta try to formation these things where we can help him out every play. We felt pretty comfortable with just him stepping in and just playing that role. And then in the run game, he had some really nice adjustments with some of that movement that you see from that Chicago front.
With the coverage structures to Justin, is there anything you guys are seeing now that you have that over the course of the last 2 years is different, or how much of it is just it's just so much attention that maybe you guys more than in the past?
I think teams from week to week are trying to try out their own ways, and some of it's from what they've seen from other people, or just to limit his production. They're doing what they can. Chicago was not a team that had flipped their corners. They were more field and boundary, and they decided, they're going to travel Jalen with jets. So you see some different things each week, just depending on kind of what each team's game plan is. But no, I don't think ultimately we're seeing a lot of different things than what we have seen. It's just about what are we seeing this week, and how can we adjust, and certainly we want to get Jets involved and get him more touches early in the game.
Wes, how does the communication go between him and Sam when Sam is making the right decisions? He's taking basically a lot of times what the defense is giving, and Justin is impacting the game, but he doesn't have his numbers. What's the nag factor, I guess, on give me the ball versus maybe some other receivers you've you've seen in your past?
Yeah, it's probably more to Kevin than Sam. No, Justin's great, and honestly, when you see great players have some sort of blow up, it is usually when the production isn't there. When you're not winning, you're not putting up numbers, you're not scoring points. That's when those guys that are great players, they get really frustrated because they know that we're not moving the ball, and if you get it to me, then I can help the team. I mean, that's usually where that comes from.
Right.
And so Justin, again, he knows our intent. He sees the plays installed every week. He understands, there's little numbers on there, 1, 2, 3, he's the one a lot of these times. So he understands all those things, and he also understands we're going to work to scheme some things to try to make sure we get him the football. But when we're winning, when we're having success, you see him get excited about other guys scoring touchdowns and making plays, and that's genuine. He's not doing anything for show. He's extremely competitive. He wants the football, but ultimately he wants to win, and he wants a championship. He wants to be on a team that has a chance to compete for a championship. So these things kind of go in waves sometimes. You have your big games, and then maybe you have one that's not so big, and the next one might be the best one of the year. So just got to go out and play every play, and don't worry a bit about Justin. Thanks.